Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time joining, thank you. If you're a previous subscriber, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be doing an unboxing. This company contacted me last week and asked me if I would do a review and a testing on their embroidery threads. So I went ahead and I agreed to doing the review, and they have sent me a 50 color box of their embroidery thread. Now, the pronunciation of this company, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, and I apologize if I am pronouncing it wrong. So I did Google Translate, and it's either Liuhg or Liuhg or Liuhg. So there was a couple different pronunciations for it, and I'm not sure which one was correct. So please excuse me if I am butchering the company name. So in between receiving the box and doing the video, I did a little bit of research on the company, and I am very impressed with some of the things that I've learned about this company to begin with. So I kind of cheated a little bit, and I did open it up to make sure everything was okay. Right off, I see that you get thread nets. I am a big supporter of using thread nets on my spools of embroidery thread, because if you are familiar with machine embroidery, you will know that it can be a really kind of slippery thread, and it can tangle easily by slipping on the spool. So I'm very glad that they include thread nets. I also buy thread net by the yard on Amazon to use on my my large 500 my 5,000 meter spools. Okay. So they also include this little brochure inside the box, and I'm really sorry if we're getting kind of a glare. I got a new ring light, and I'm trying to be able to adjust our lighting a little bit better. So before we get into actually showing you the threads, I just want to tell you a little bit about this company that I have learned. So they are a really great company from what I can tell just by some of the awards that they have gotten. They have gotten some, let's see what it's called, Climate Partner Certified Product Awards. And what they do is for CO2 emissions and also for water safety. So they have right here in the little brochure, it tells you that energy and water efficiency. They use advanced low impact dyeing and water recycling systems that minimize energy and conserve resources. So they're not putting a lot of chemicals from their dyeing processes back into the watershed, which I thought that was absolutely amazing, because you know some companies, I don't know ones right offhand, but they don't usually think about that. And I really like that this company has taken the time to actually do this. It really tells me that they are that they're committed to preserving our environment, and I think that's really great. Okay, so they use recycled materials. So they're transforming post-consumer and post-industrial polyester into high-quality threads and promote traceability and circularity. So that's really cool. So their social responsibility, ethical production, safe workplaces, and partnerships to build on fairness and trust. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like this. Okay, so I'm just kind of like looking this over really quickly. Okay. So yeah, so that's really, I really like that they have taken the time to put this brochure in the box. That really makes me want to support them more, because they do want to help the environment as well. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the threads. They are a AAA grade polyester embroidery machine thread. They have a 4-ply twist technology, and most threads are just a 2-ply thread. So with the 4-ply twist, it makes the thread 2 times stronger, and that means less breakage, less fraying of your thread, and less lint in your machines. So that's another thing that I really like about this company, that they have taken the time to put these little extra steps into their product to make it more efficient for the consumer. So not only are they making their threads stronger, saving the environment, but they're thinking about the consumer as well, and the upkeep of your machines by making a product that frays less and produces less lint. So that is another impressive fact as well. Okay, so 40 years of innovation. 1980, they created the threads. 1990, they pioneered the eco-friendly dyeing technique that they use for their threads. They use, so in 2010, they came up with the 4-ply tight twist technology for enhanced durability. And then in 2020, they got a Trusted Worldwide Performance as well award. Okay, so again, what is the difference between these threads and other threads is that I mentioned that they're stronger because the 4-ply twisted technology of the thread. 2 times the strength of normal threads. They are silkier because they are a AAA grade polyester, so less lint than standard threads. It also helps reduce thread jams, and the colors are more vibrant. It's AAA grade eco-friendly color fast dyes. So they have right here on the back of the carton, it's called a Standard 100 by Oekotex, I can't even pronounce the word. It's Oekotex, and that is, I believe, the type of dye they used. So let me scroll back up here so I can get that correct. Okay. Okay, so it's dyed with Oekotex certified dyes. So what that does is that means it's an advanced penetration technology. So it actually saturates the whole thread and not just kind of sits on the surface of the threads. So, okay, what we're going to go ahead and do, oh, that's really cool. So you have a warranty on your thread as well. So you can activate your warranty. I'm not going to show you my little QR code down here, but it says thank you for your purchase, activate your warranty, or if you need help, call their 24/7 customers or email their 24/7 customer service. So that's really cool. Okay, so like I said, I did kind of cheat and I did look in the box already, and I kind of organized them all by color so I can show you the colors that come in the 50 thread spool set. When you buy sets of thread, in my previous experience, I have purchased threads and I've sent them back because I just was not happy with them. But with this 50 color spool set, you get a very, very nice selection of colors. So let's go ahead and get into it. So with my first impression, the boxing is really nice. I really like the packaging. It's very simplistic packaging, but it does the job really well. They're not just thrown into the box. They are actually organized quite well in the box. So we're going to go ahead and remove both little tray pieces here. We'll set the box aside. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and take each spool out, and I'm going to show you what I mean about how many different colors you get in the color family. So for instance, the blue set, the blue colors, you get 7 different colors of blue. So I am really impressed about this because in some of the previous sets that I have purchased, I've only gotten maybe 4. So I've gotten a dark blue, kind of a navy blue, a light blue, and like a medium blue. So it would only be like these 4, and that's it. But as you can see, it actually has 7 different shades of blue, which I'm really happy with this. I really, really like that they've taken the time to put so many different shades of one color, because that way when you are actually doing some more of the more intricate designs in your embroidery, it's going to give you more of a color palette to choose from, and I am very impressed with that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into our next color, and we have our purples, our pinks, and then into our reds, and then our oranges. So I'm going to go ahead and take the purples out. So we have several different shades. I'm going to do, so we do have a dark purple, kind of an eggplant purple, a medium purple, lavender, and then we start getting into the reds. So we're the kind of like the mauve colors. So we've got kind of like a, I'm not sure what this one would be. So hopefully you guys can see that okay. And it's a really beautiful color. Okay, so we've got that one. And we're just going to go ahead and start laying them all out so you guys can see all the colors. I really like this color. This is almost like a cranberry red. It's really, really pretty. So we're just going to start laying them out. And then we have our orange colors, which are really, I really love that they have like some brighter neon kind of oranges in here. So we have like a blaze orange and then a standard kind of orange. Then we have, I don't know what color of orange you call that one, but we have a light orange or a marigold colored orange, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the other box here. We have a bright yellow and a pale yellow. Then you have, I believe this is a gold. And then we have, let's see, where's the other one I saw? We'll get to it. Okay, so now we have some absolutely amazing shades of green. Sorry, I'm dropping them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shades of green. Now, in a previous set of threads I bought, I only got 5 different greens. We got a dark green, kind of like a moss green, a Christmas green or a Kelly green, and then a light green. So I didn't get a lot of a variety in the greens of previous ones I have purchased. I had to go in and I had to find other shades of green and buy spools separately. But this one you get 8 different shades of green. That is very impressive if you're going to be doing any like florals or anything like that. You want a different shade of green for like shadowing on the leaves, things like that. So I'm very impressed with just the shades of green. Okay, so now we're going to get into our kind of like tan colors, and here's the other one that I kind of thought could be like a gold as well, but I think this one's more of a like an antique gold, and maybe like a tarnished gold, or if it's just, I don't know, just a shade of brown. Okay, so black. Okay, so you also get, so if this is in the brown family, which I kind of think it is, you get a really deep, like a dark chocolate brown. You get like a milk chocolate brown, standard brown. You get kind of like a burnt umber color. And then you have a tan, kind of like a cream color. So, come on, stay together. Okay, so that right there, 5, 6, 7, 8 shades of browns as well. Browns and tans. So that's really great as well. If you're doing anything like animals or anything like that, like the dogs and the cats, or if you're doing, again, like any like trees or anything like that, you need multiple different shades of brown so it gives your stitch out nice dimension. Okay, so we have a couple different shades here of grays. We have a black. We have a deep, kind of like a smoke colored gray. We have a regular gray, a dove gray or light gray, and a silver. So with the black included, you in the kind of like the gray black family, you get 5 colors. And then for our last 2, you get a standard white, and I'm thinking a bright white. So that is our color palette. And I am very, very impressed by how, like I said, by how many different shades are in each color family. So I'm very impressed with that. Okay, so our next step, what we're going to do is I'm going to pull the machine forward, and I'm going to test out some different types of projects. I'm going to stitch out, one of my favorite things to stitch out is my freestanding lace bookmarks. So I'm going to check those. I'm going to do one of those to see how the threads handle freestanding lace. Then I am going to stitch out like a quilt block, but I'm going to do a smaller one so I could use it like as a mug rug. So that way we can get, you know, a little bit of, you know, like some dense stitching on the mug, on the quilt block, and some lighter stitching. Mostly what I do when I do embroidery is I do quilt blocks, I do key fobs, and freestanding lace. So those are kind of going to be what I'm going to test on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the stitch outs, and then I will come back and I will give you my opinions on these threads. Okay, we will see you very quickly. Okay, so I have my embroidery unit set up. We can see that all here. What I have chose to do is I'm going to do a blue, kind of a damask, or not damask, a Delft inspired quilt block, and I'm going to use it for a mug rug. I always have a beverage with me when I am working, so a mug rug would be something really handy to have here in my room instead of just using a folded piece of paper towel. So I'm going to go ahead and make probably about a 6-inch quilt block. Yes, a quilt block that I'm going to use as a mug rug. I'm going to be using blue fabric or blue thread for that. So I have all my blue colors set aside here. I do have white, And I like to do white bookmarks. Some people do not. I have found at my local library where I have sold some bookmarks before that white bookmarks sell for me really well. So I'm just going to use a white thread, and I have a pre-wound bobbin here in my machine. I have the little thread nets here, and again, I am a big supporter of using thread nets, and I'm trying to open it here. It's always hard to find that little part on the... Okay, so that is what your thread net looks like if you've never used a thread net before. It's just a piece of like plastic webbing. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. So I'm going to open up my spool of thread. Okay, so one thing I have learned about the thread, everything I really like so far. I've only found one negative about any of this thread, and it's something that's really how can I put it? It's something that for some people it's very important, but others it doesn't really matter that much. I do like having the color or the color number on my spools. I didn't see anywhere on their website or on the spools themselves the color number or the actual color of the thread or any compatibility. And I can't get the thread off. There it is. Okay. So I've got the thread open. I am going to put my thread net. I like putting my thread nets from the bottom up, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And that's just so I can hang on to the end of the thread, and I just kind of like hold my thread nets, either if it's a big spool I hold it like this, or and I just put it right on. And I leave it like this and I kind of tuck it down. I sometimes even pull them a little bit lower. You could actually, I think that's what I'm going to do. I am just going to kind of eyeball this, and I'm going to cut the thread net in half. For these small spools, you don't really need the full length of the thread net. So I'm going to just use one that's cut in half, and that is plenty enough. See, look at that. That's plenty right there. So if you purchase this and you think there's not enough thread nets, just cut them in half like I just did. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and thread my machine. I have a industrial thread spool over here off to the side, and that is what I use just because it helps when I use my large spools of thread. So that's what I'm going to be doing as well with these. But if you like using your spool pin that's actually on the machine, do whichever way you prefer. I'm doing the testing the way I would normally do it if I am actually making something. So that's what works for me. If you like using your spool pins on the machine themselves, please by all means do it the way that you prefer to do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pause. I'm going to get the machine set up for the design. I'm going to start stitching out my design, and then I will show you it stitching. Let you know what I think of the thread as it's starting to stitch, and then we'll go from there. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so where we're standing right now, I stitched out the freestanding lace bookmark, and I'm going to tell you a little bit so far on my first test. Now, to give this thread the benefit of the doubt, I am going to conduct two different tests. I have done the freestanding lace, like I've mentioned, and right now what I am feeling is there is a little bit of a learning curve. I am used to a little bit of a thinner thread, and being that this is a 4-ply thread, it may take a different size needle. So I started the project with a regular standard machine embroidery needle size with 7511. I was having a lot of thread breaks with that needle. So what I decided to do was stop, change my needle size, and I went up a needle size to an 8012. That worked great. I didn't have any more thread breaks other than when my thread got snagged on the spool pin right here. So that wasn't the fault of the thread. That was just accidents happen. You can get a snag really easy if you don't have your spool pin cover pushed back enough. Simple mistakes that can happen to anything. That's no problem. That's no fault of the thread at all. Okay, so then what I also did is I first started using my industrial spool holder that I have mounted over here to the right of my machine. When I quilt, I use big cones of thread like these, and it's just what I prefer to do. So I use a cone thread industrial spool holder. That did not work for these small spools, so I decided I was going to switch it to the machine and use the horizontal spool instead of the, I have the upright spool pin here, so I changed it to this one. That worked much better. Okay, so now what we're going to do in my second test, let's go ahead and take it off the machine. And this is our stitch out. Let me bring it up and show you. It looks really well. It did really well. I did have some thread breaks right here in this area. And you can see that I did have some issues with my tension. So that is that here. Now that could be the fault of the machine. My tension's not correct for this particular design. Different projects can be different tensions. I know a lot of people say don't mess with your tension when you're doing an embroidery. That's not always true, especially if it's a machine that you're going to be quilting with, or a machine that you can do multi things with, like the combo machines, like my FAF is. I can do embroidery and I can do regular sewing on it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out my FAF machine for my Brother machine, and we are going to see what a entry-level machine, how that will work. It's probably not going to make much of a difference, but I want to give, you know, a lot of people have entry-level machines, and my Brother machine is a SE625, so we're going to try that one. We will be back in a minute. I will break down the FAF, get the Brother machine set up, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so as you can see, I have my Brother machine set up. This is the Brother SE625 machine. This was my first machine that I got. So what I'm going to try to do is now I'm going to test the thread on this machine and see how it works. Now, like I said, I want to give this thread a fair chance. And in the email, the seller, the company, said that there was no pressure and they wanted me, you know, whether I liked it or not, whatever, to be giving my honest opinion. Okay, so in between setting up the machine, from switching machines from the Brother machine from the Pfaff machine to the Brother machine, I've been thinking a little bit. So I still have the freestanding lace hooped. I did have a lot of problems at first. So again, I'm going to just go over those really quickly. I made a little list here. So with my first test, what happened was the white thread, we did the freestanding lace. I had a little bit of a learning curve because with any new product, you need to fine tune it, see what it's going to work, how it's going to work with your machine. So I want to make it very clear. My Pfaff Creative 4.0 is a very picky machine. There are threads, okay, so let me clarify this before I get any further. There are machines, it doesn't matter what brand machine, Baby Lock, Juki, Pfaff, Brother, some things work with some machines and some don't. If you have been doing machine embroidery for a while, you will know that some machines hate certain things, certain threads, certain products. My Pfaff machine, my Brother machine, sometimes on my multi-needle machine I can use spray basting or the basting spray. My Pfaff machine, depends on what it is, but usually it absolutely hates basting spray. So why I'm telling you this is that each machine can be very picky about what it uses, and my Pfaff is one of the most pickiest machines I have ever owned. I love the machine, but there are certain things that I know that I cannot use with it. So when I tested this first test with the thread, I had some breaks. We played with the tension on it, and it just was not. I did the set tension for the design, which I think was a 2.8 on my machine, and I did have to lower it a little bit, and it still did not work. So you can see here, I showed you in the previous clip that I did have some issues with the back of it. So you can see here, I kept on having thread breaks. Now, is that the thread's fault or is it my machine's fault? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a second test with the thread, and I'm going to test it on the Brother machine. So I have my stabilizer hooped. I have a medium weight cutaway stabilizer. The design that I'm going to be using is a Delft machine block, or a Delft machine embroidery quilt block, and I think it's only going to use 4 colors, so I have prepped 4 colors, and I have the additional 3 blue ones here that came with the set ready in case I do need them. Right now I have pros and cons about the thread, so I'm still really undecided. I want to give an honest opinion about this thread, an honest review. So that is why I am trying another design and doing it with the Brother machine. Now, I have tried using these small spools on my multi-needle machine, and I just don't have success with it because the speed of the speed, I don't know what it is with this particular machine, but it just does not like it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and prep. Well, let's see, which is the darkest? So it's saying I need ultramarine. So I'm going to use this darkest shade, and I'm going to go ahead and get it on my machine. And like I told you before, on the FAF machine, I found that these spools just work better on the vertical pin. I'm sorry, the horizontal pin. I do have a vertical pin for this machine, but we are not going to use that. Okay, so I have the machine threaded. I am going to be using my auto threader here. And I got my little tweezers to pull the thread through. With my Brother machine, I don't use it a lot. I didn't want to put a lot of hours on it because I was going to sell it, but I have decided against that for the time being. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am stitching a quilt block. So I am using double layers of batting because I really want that nice loft for this particular item. I am going to be, like I mentioned earlier in the opening of the video, I am going to be doing a mug rug. So I want to make sure that everything is going to be in my hoop, and I am making sure I have excess quilt batting around because I want to have this particular, this design is, let me see, it was 3.84 inches square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where are my pins? Lord have mercy. I do not know where my pins have wandered off to. I really hope it did not end up in the trash. That's really weird. I had a pin cushion and it went sayonara. Okay, give me just a moment. I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I found my little pin cushion. I had it in the bin that I use for when I my other sewing project I am working on. So we are going to pin at the very top and just at the very bottom. And that way I know that this will stay in position. I do know that my Brother machine hates quilt basting spray, so I'm not going to use that because I know from experience that I do get thread breaks whenever I use quilt basting spray on this machine. So we're not going to use it. I am going to just trim a little excess batting here, or I know this ain't a very clean cut. Just cutting away a little excess of the stabilizer. That way I can see to put my hoop in the machine. And okay, so I'm going to hold my thread tail and what do we need to do? Sorry. Okay, guys. So this is kind of silly. I don't, like I said a few minutes ago, I don't use my Brother machine often, and I'm trying to figure out why am I not getting the green light to start stitching. It's because I did not put the presser foot down, and in my FAF machine it's automatic, so I don't have to do that. I just hit go and it does it automatically. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to stop and I'm going to speed up my stitching, and I'm going to cut the thread tail, and we're going to start. Okay, so this particular design has 14,751 stitches. You can see that it is starting to stitch out. You can see that the thread is coming off the spool quite well. The tension feels good, so we're going to go ahead and leave it stitching, and while it does that, I will keep an eye on it, and when it's complete, I will be back. Okay guys, I've experienced my first thread break. It's telling me to check my upper thread. I'm going to lift my foot, and we're going to do that. I am going to clip my thread here, and because it is stuck in the machine. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna try to pull it from down here, and okay, so it did shred a little bit, and again, that could be because the needle size. I don't know if I mentioned it, that I did experience on the FAF machine that a larger needle, other than the 7511 needle, was what works better for me. So what I'm going to do is, I have my needles here. I'm going to change the needle. I will be back in a couple minutes, and I will let you know. Well, what I'll do is I'll change the needle, and if the stitching works, I will continue stitching out the design, and I will come back in at the end of the design if everything goes well and give my overall review. Okay guys, so I have my second stitch test out, or second stitch test complete. I'm going to show you here what it looks like. I've went ahead and taken it off the machine. So there are jump stitches here that did not cut in this pattern. Now, I don't know if it's the design, but you can see here that this side stitched out in kind of like the teal kind of color, and this side stitched out in white. So I know some of my designs that I have, I did choose where it had kind of like an ombre effect, the way it's stitched out. And I don't know if this was one of them. I just cannot remember. But you can see all the jump stitches. It did really well on the back side. There was a couple where my tension was off a little bit. You can see these here. Now, that's the machine, or that is the design as well. I'm trying to move my mouse out of the way. I'm going to now, I'm going to kind of move things aside. I have since moved the thread to a thread stand like this, and I'm going to tell you some of the things I found. I wanted to do testing on the industrial that I have over here, the industrial cone thread stand. Now, these particular little spools did not do well on that thread stand, and I can understand. It's the way it's designed. It is designed for large spools. Now I'm going to turn this machine off, and I'm going to move it back a little bit. Okay, so let's get our other design here. I still have not taken it off. So this was our first stitch out, and this one was our second stitch out. And there are pros and cons to each one. I had a lot of thread breaks on this one. That could be the faff machine. Is it the thread's fault? No, I don't think so. I think this was my machine's fault. My faff machine is very, very picky, so that's why I did this one. Now on this one, I only had one thread break on this whole design, and it was because I wasn't paying attention and my thread kind of wrapped around the spool pin on the machine. Right here, let me show you. Move the machine back just a little bit. So on this spool pin here, I wasn't paying attention and it got wrapped around. That is one of the reasons why they tell you don't leave your machine, because it is best to keep an eye on it. Okay, so overall, I really think I like this thread. Do I love it? That's still to be determined as I use it a little bit more, and things like that. I like it, yes. I don't know if I love it yet. Would I recommend buying it? Yes, if you're just starting out, go ahead, try it, give it a shot. But just know that there are some things that you really need to look forward to. Up their needle size, because that on both machines that worked best for me. Instead of the 7511 needle, I went up to 9014s on both machines. It did 100% better when I used the 9014 needle. I don't know if that's because it is the 4-ply twist thread, how they use a 4-ply instead of a 2-ply like most threads. But this design had probably 15 thread breaks, but my faff is very picky again. So that is why I wanted to do another design. So when I first started this one on the Brother machine, I had the 7511 needle in it, and that is when I got the thread break and when it wrapped around the spool pin. So I changed it. I moved it from the spool pin to my Dritz cone thread stand, or the regular, or just, I don't know if it's a cone thread stand or just a thread stand, whatever you prefer to call it. And I didn't get a single thread break after that. So that would be, I think, something that they would need to kind of include, is just to use a little bit, maybe a larger needle. One of the other negative things that I did not like about this thread was that it does not have the thread color or the thread number on the spools. I really like having a thread number to be able to refer to a chart to know what that color is, and if there is a let's see, I need to see if I can find it really quickly. It is a thread conversion chart is what they're called. So I do have other brands of thread. I use Nubro thread as well, and you can see that they have a thread chart, and then they have a thread conversion chart for their colors, and then for Janome threads and Robinson Anton threads. You can look for conversion thread chart lists. online for many threads. I did not find one for this particular brand of thread. Again, I believe the pronunciation for this thread is either Liuhg, Liuhg, or Liuhg. There was also Liuhg, or I'm pronouncing it with the sound. Sorry, that kind of clear your throat sound, because that is what Google Translate did. So again, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, and I do apologize to the company if I am butchering the name. I'm really sorry. Okay. Typically, I do longer tutorials, longer reviews, because I think there are important facts that you need to do besides just opening a box, looking at it, and say, okay, this is nice. There's a lot more than just putting a spool of thread on a machine. You have to see which way is going to work best for that thread. A vertical spool pin or a horizontal spool pin. Or a horizontal cone holder, cone thread holder. Again, needle size is a big thing. You can't just put something on the machine, because it's not going to work unless you really test to see what's going to work the best. Again, needle size, vertical spool, not horizontal. Thread nets, I did decide that instead of using the thread net when it was like covering almost the whole spool, I decided to cut it down to about 1 inch, and that worked better for me. And again, I do like the thread. I'm going to use it some more over the next several weeks, and yeah, would I recommend buying it? Sure, no problem at all. Give it a try, see what you guys think. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. There will be a link in the description box below for, it is not a link to get a discount. It is just a link that will take you to the Amazon site, or the Amazon link to purchase the thread. It is currently on sale for $29.99 for 50 colors. Okay. They do have other not other brands, but they do have other spools of thread for regular sewing threads. So check those out as well. Okay, guys. This is going to end my unboxing, review, and trial of the Liuhg, or the Liuhg. I'm really sorry. I know I'm butchering the name, and I do apologize. So let me know what you guys think, and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye, guys.